Welcome to Royal Secret. In the early days, King Frederik and Queen Mary's story read like a modern fairy tale scripted by destiny itself. The Danish crown prince met Mary Donaldson, a bright Australian marketing executive, at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. It was supposed to be just another glamorous party, but across the room, Frederik's eyes met Mary's, and something undeniable sparked. The world quickly became enchanted by this international romance. The dashing European air and the down-to-earth Aussie girl, it was every commoner's daydream come alive. Their wedding in 2004 dazzled Copenhagen and captivated millions around the globe. Newspapers were flooded with images of the beaming couple. People cheered in the streets, waving tiny Danish flags as Mary, now a crown princess, glided by in her lace gown. Their public life blossomed beautifully. Together they raised 4 children: Prince Christian, Princess Isabella, and twins Prince Vincent and Princess Josephine, who brought playful joy to their royal residences. From gala dinners to charity events, they seemed unstoppable. But in the quiet hours of the night, a darker reality loomed. One that no camera captured. One that would soon demand a sacrifice from Frederik so painful, it would redefine the rest of his life. Insiders say the seeds of trouble were sown long before Frederik ever donned the crown. While Mary dazzled the world with her poise and philanthropy, Frederik struggled with the weight of his destiny. Friends confided that he often appeared withdrawn at intimate gatherings, as if lost in a maze of thoughts no one could penetrate. He had always lived in the long shadow of his mother, Queen Margrethe II. Her iron-clad dedication to the throne in Denmark often left little room for her son's own uncertainties. "Frederik is deeply sensitive," remarked a former court aide. The pressure of upholding centuries of royal tradition while also protecting his family's happiness was sometimes crushing. Behind palace walls, rumors brewed that Frederik longed for a simpler life. He admired how Mary could still laugh easily, recalling her days strolling Bondi Beach, unbothered by royal protocols. Could he ever truly give her the carefree love she once knew? Then came the devastating choice, a decision that would forever haunt the king. As Queen Margrethe aged, discussions about succession grew urgent. Senior courtiers began pressing Frederik. It was time to fully embrace his future as monarch. The queen needed reassurance that Denmark's ancient lineage would be safe in his hands. But for Frederik, stepping deeper into the role came at an enormous price. It meant drastically limiting the family's freedoms. Mary would need to cancel cherished independent projects abroad. The children would be bound even more tightly to Denmark's expectations. Their schedules would be micromanaged, their privacy shrunk to near extinction. In late-night talks on velvet couches, Frederik and Mary wrestled with impossible choices. Friends who occasionally stayed at Amalienborg Palace recalled hearing muffled arguments through closed doors. One former staffer confided, there were tears. Sometimes it was Mary, sometimes Frederik. They were both terrified of what this next chapter meant for their family. Frederik faced the ultimate nightmare: deny his birthright and risk a constitutional crisis, or accept the crown and shatter the relatively normal family life they had fought so hard to build. In the end, duty won. When Queen Margrethe abdicated in early 2024, Frederik ascended the throne. Mary's eyes shone with pride at the coronation, but some close observers swore they also saw a flicker of deep apprehension. The first year of Frederik's reign was a whirlwind of state visits, policy briefings, and ceremonial obligations. The Danish people rejoiced, seeing a modern king with a warm smile and approachable charm. But at home, cracks were growing. Mary, who once traveled frequently to champion global women's rights, found her movements heavily restricted by new security protocols. The children, already wary of paparazzi, now faced even tighter public scrutiny. Sources whispered that Mary felt suffocated. She knew what royal life entailed, said one palace insider, but the leap from crown princess to queen consort was monumental. The loss of personal autonomy was far greater than she ever anticipated. Frederik, meanwhile, was consumed by guilt. Those close to him said he spent countless sleepless nights pacing their palace apartments, questioning whether he had made the right choice. Some nights he would slip quietly into the children's rooms, watching them sleep, as if desperately clinging to their fleeting innocence. The Danish press remained largely respectful, painting portraits of a loving, united family. But behind gentle headlines, investigative journalists were piecing together troubling signs. A sudden drop in Mary's independent patronages. Fewer candid family outings. A growing army of royal security. Tabloids across Europe pounced. Headlines screamed of a queen in a gilded cage. Paparazzi snapped shots of Mary looking solemn during engagements where she once beamed. Royal watchers on social media launched frenzied debates. Was Mary truly happy? Was Frederik's choice to ascend a betrayal of the private life they promised each other years ago on that sunlit balcony in Hobart? Or was it an unavoidable destiny they were both honor-bound to accept? Royal historians argued that this tension is woven into the very fabric of monarchy. Professor Johan Ellegaard of Copenhagen University noted, every European royal faces the dilemma of duty versus personal happiness. Frederik's silent agony mirrors that of King Harald V of Norway, or even Britain's King Charles III, who waited decades under his mother's long reign. Meanwhile, mental health experts pointed out the psychological toll. When you're raised to suppress your feelings for the sake of state stability, the wounds run deep, said Dr. Lisbeth Jensen, a psychologist who studies high-profile families. Frederik's quiet suffering is an attempt to protect everyone, his country, his wife, his children. But ultimately, internalizing such pain can fracture relationships. Marriage counselors speculated that their shared trauma might also forge a deeper bond. Couples that navigate profound crises together often emerge stronger, even if the journey is excruciating, one remarked. Recent whispers from within the palace suggest that to save their marriage, Frederik and Mary struck a private understanding. While Mary could no longer roam the globe as freely, Frederik promised her other freedoms, to focus intensely on local Danish causes, to take the children on private retreats far from royal cameras, to maintain friendships from her Australian days. They've crafted a new normal, said a longtime royal confidant. It's not the life they once dreamed of, but it's a life they're determined to make beautiful for each other. Recent appearances show subtle signs of healing. At a Copenhagen children's hospital, Mary held Frederik's hand tightly, a rare public gesture that seemed to say, "We're still here. Still fighting." Their anniversary this past May was reportedly quiet but intimate. A close friend shared, they didn't throw a grand ball. Instead, they spent the evening with their kids, telling stories by the fireplace. That's what matters most to them now. Frederik's silent agony might never fully vanish. The heavy crown rests on his head, and the ghost of the life they once imagined will always linger. But in those small moments, a shared laugh, a tender glance across a state banquet table, you can see the embers of a love that, while tested almost to breaking, still burns. So as we stand here, looking into the grand windows of Amalienborg Palace, we see not just a king and queen, but two human souls wrestling with impossible expectations. We see a man who gave up a quiet life for the weight of an ancient throne. We see a woman who traded sun-kissed anonymity for relentless scrutiny, all for love. Their story is a haunting reminder that fairy tales often come with invisible scars. That behind the dazzling tiaras and military regalia lie choices so painful, they would break most of us. But what do you think? Was King Frederik right to embrace his destiny, even at such a heartbreaking cost to his marriage? Or should he have chosen a simpler path to safeguard his family's private happiness? Tell us in the comments below. Do you believe royal duty is worth the sacrifice of personal dreams? Or do you think love should always come first, no matter the crown? We'll be reading every single one of your thoughts. And who knows, perhaps even someone within those palace walls might be listening too.